Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Nick Blazer here, and today we're going to be talking about, a couple things. It's going to be, first we're going to talk about Derrick Rose, then we're going to get on to Kyrie Irving and some of the trade suggestions I've gotten, and we're going to go into detail about them. So, I want you guys to hit the like and subscribe. So, let's get started here. Derrick Rose, as you know, was signed by the Cavs, 1-year deal. Now, let's talk about the fit. All right, so Derrick Rose, an offense that is based around spreading the floor, shot 21% from the three-point line last year. And his numbers seem to be going down, and that seems to be becoming less and less of his game. So that will be very interesting how he fits in that way. Now, one of the things I do like looking at the numbers, he was number one in pick and roll defense amongst point guards last year, and I think that is a major problem that we had was pick and roll defense, so he should help there. I don't know if I would consider Derrick Rose a guy I would go out and buy a jersey from, but he's a solid addition, and if we don't end up trading Kyrie Irving, that is a much improved bench, and we need that. So let's get into Kyrie now. As I just said, Kyrie Irving does not need to be traded, and the Cavs have shown over the past couple weeks that they are showing no urgency to do so. I just don't think it's going to happen. My gut feeling at this point is that Kyrie will be with us into training camp and throughout the season. Whether that stays that way throughout, I do not know. I do believe if a deal is going to get done, it will be before the season starts, because they don't want to start, it would mess up the chemistry to make a major trade like that mid-season, and I just don't see that happening. So let's talk about a guy that I think needs to go. Iman Shumpert. He was the starter for part of last year. Now he's become really a low player. Isn't getting much minutes lately. The Cavs recently signed him to a 4-year, $40 million deal. Now he's going into the third year. I think that would be a huge salary dump off, and it needs to go. The Rockets, I know a team were interested in taking on the contract. I haven't heard any recent news. That was probably a month or so ago. So there's nothing new on that end. But they need to find a way to dump off that contract. So that leads us into the first trade. And a shout out to Cleveland Sports Talk on Twitter. I got this from one of their articles. You can check it out in the comments. But so here's the first one. So the Cavs, Kyrie Irving and Iman Shumpert for Andre Drummond and Stanley Johnson. Now Andre Drummond, he's a dominant center. He's another one with the contract isn't the greatest. But the most concerning part to me in this case is his free throw attempts. So that he shot 38% from the free throw line last year, which is just an absolutely terrible number. All right. So pairing him up with Tristan Thompson to be our front court, those are two guys that have a real hard time staying in games late. So Thompson, I believe, is a 55% free throw shooter. Those are two guys that you cannot have in late game situations. So that would leave a hole for a late game guy that would possibly make Kevin Love become your center, which is not the ideal situation. Now, talking about Stanley Johnson, I'm not too familiar with him as a player. I'm pretty sure he has a pretty good all-around game, and he might be a solid addition to our bench. The one thing I do remember about him is back in the playoffs a couple years ago when he said he was in LeBron's head, and while down 2-0 to the Cavs, they said they had us right where we wanted, or right where they wanted. And that was just laughable to me. So I'm assuming they would get over that. That's probably in the past, but I think that's notable. Next trade would be between the Cavs and the Kings. Now, this one, I like it mainly just because of the first guy I'm going to list here, De'Aaron Fox from Kentucky. Very, very solid player. I have heard some Westbrook comparisons to him, and that may be very early to say that. I don't expect him to take over a team like Westbrook has the last couple of years right away, or even in the near future. But I will say in college, he averaged 16.7 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, and 4.6 assists, which are very good numbers. The trade would also include Costa Koufos and Gary Temple. Gary Temple was kind of he was kind of in the mix between a D-League and a NBA player last year for the Kings. Not sure he would have much of an effect if he even made the team. Koufos could step in and be a big man. Again, not sure if he would grab minutes or even not find his way onto another team before the end of the season. But those are two notable players to be involved. Maybe even a draft pick thrown the Cavs' way. So, next Kyrie Irving trade would be to the Suns. And this one has been talked about a ton recently. This would be Josh Jackson, Eric Bledsoe, and Tyson Chandler. Now, I think this is the most sought-after trade for the Cavs, and I'm pretty sure they would do this if this was offered to them. But as of right now, the Suns have said that they are not willing to trade Josh Jackson. I believe that will change eventually. Just recently, the date that Josh Jackson could be traded has just passed. So if the Suns decide to pull the trigger, this could happen any day now. Not saying it will. I've said I don't think it will. I don't think Kyrie Irving will be traded at all. But I would like this trade. I really would. Tyson Chandler has been an established big man in the league for years. Eric Bledsoe, when healthy, is a good point guard in the league. And Josh Jackson is young, athletic, and would be an awesome addition to the team. Now, how he would fit in, I would think sort of like a sixth man off the bench to start and maybe work his way into a starting role. But once again, I'm not sure on that. Now, this is tough because Eric Bledsoe would step in and be the starting point guard. Derrick Rose would be on the bench. Now, what I want to get into now is how this team could form if we don't trade Kyrie Irving. Now, if we do not trade Kyrie Irving, Derrick Rose will be the backup point guard as we thought when he was signed. I think things can be worked out. I really do. Kyrie Irving, he seems like a good dude. Except for this recent trade, there has been absolutely nothing anyone could say about him. I think this trade caught everyone by surprise except for the people inside of the Cavs front office. They've apparently known this for a very long time. But I think just, sit down Kyrie and LeBron. Let them talk it out. Let them figure it out. They're adults. They can figure it out. They know what they're doing. I think with this established bench that we're building this year, it gives us a little closer to Golden State. There are still ways we can fill out this team. For example, I think we need another big man. But, that's hard to say. It would depend on Eddie Tavares. If he makes some steps, he's absolutely huge. He would be a great player to put into this rotation and get some minutes. But we'll see what they do. I think it's going to be a really interesting couple months going forward. So next week, we're going to be discussing... who should I go over next week? We're going to do Jose Calderon, who I'm not a fan of the signing, but I'll talk to you guys about that. This contract he got, I'm pretty sure it was the minimum. So, just want to say thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. It makes me want to do more every week. So next week we'll be coming at you with another Indians and Cavs notes. Follow my social media for updates. I will let you guys know when those are posting. So thank you, and I will see you next week.